Have you ever wondered why some women seem to ignite this electric, almost magnetic connection with a man in bed, while for others, sex starts to feel like the same old routine? The difference doesn't come down to how you look, your age, or even the tricks you've learned between the sheets. The real magic happens because of what you say, right there in the heat of the moment. Not the conversations before or after. I mean those words that spill out when you're both caught up in the raw, pulsing reality of desire. And I'm here to show you how 3 simple phrases can completely transform the way he sees you, touches you, and how you feel about yourself as a sensual woman. Now, I know what might be going through your mind. Talk during sex? God, no. Isn't that unladylike? Too much? What if I sound ridiculous? I get it. For decades, hell, for generations, women were taught that a good woman should be quiet in bed, that speaking up, moaning too loudly, or actually saying what you want makes you look desperate, or cheap, or worse, like you're somehow not classy. We've absorbed these messages from everywhere, from family, from religion, from movies, from friends who whispered warnings in our teenage ears. Keep it down. Don't let him think you're that kind of girl. But let me tell you something that might just change your entire perspective. Speaking during sex doesn't make you cheap, it doesn't make you needy, and it sure as hell doesn't make you less of a lady. What it makes you is powerful, because here's the truth. Words in the heat of passion are not just sounds, they're signals. Signals of confidence, signals of pleasure, signals that tell him he's not just going through the motions, that he's reaching you body and soul. And here's the fascinating part. Men crave that feedback, not just because it strokes their ego, though let's be honest, it does, but because it tells them they're safe with you, that you're open, connected, and present in the moment. When you hold back your words, you're not just staying silent, you're building a wall between you and him. And you deserve better than that. I'm not talking about performing some porn script or trying to say outrageous things you'd never say in real life. I'm talking about honest, real communication, in words that feel true for you. Because the right words, spoken in the right moment, can turn sex from something physical into something unforgettable, something transcendent. And that's not manipulation, that's intimacy. But if you're like countless women out there, there's one thing that still keeps you from speaking up in bed. It's not a lack of desire. It's not that you don't have the words. It's fear. Fear of being judged, fear of sounding awkward or too intense, or somehow too sexual. Fear that if you let your real desires out, he'll look at you differently, maybe even think you're weird or too demanding, or worse, compare you to women from his past. I hear it all the time. Won't he think I'm trying too hard? What if I say something stupid? Isn't it enough just to be there and show him I'm enjoying it physically? Here's what I'd want every woman to hear, especially when she's sitting there, quietly twisting her wedding ring or staring into her coffee cup. Those fears are not your fault. Most of us were raised in a culture that surrounded female sexuality with shame. We were taught to be desirable, but not too obvious about it. To be sexy, but not to enjoy sex too much. To please, but never to ask for what we want. It's a mess of mixed messages, and it leaves many women terrified that if they speak up in bed, they'll be labeled too much. But here's the beautiful, mind-blowing truth. The very thing you're afraid will push him away is what he's craving the most. He wants to hear you. He wants to know what he's doing to you. He wants confirmation that the way he's touching you matters, that it's not just happening to your body, but resonating in your mind and your soul. Men, more than we often realize, respond intensely to words. Not because they're insecure little boys needing validation, but because it makes them feel connected, like they're not alone in that moment of vulnerability and passion. And here's the kicker. When you silence yourself, you're not protecting yourself. You're robbing both of you of the depth you deserve. And you deserve every ounce of that connection. And if you're wondering whether speaking up during sex is really that big of a deal, let me show you why it is. From the inside out. Because here's where it gets fascinating. When you speak your pleasure out loud, even something as simple as God, that feels so good, you're not just letting him know you're enjoying yourself. You're literally changing the way your brain processes the experience. See, your brain doesn't just record physical sensations, it interprets and amplifies them through language. When you give your pleasure words, you're feeding the brain a second, powerful layer of input. It's like having sex in stereo instead of mono. Your body feels the sensation, but when you say it, your brain replays it, reprocesses it, intensifies it. It's called a feedback loop. And it's one of the reasons why people who are vocal during sex often report stronger orgasms and a deeper sense of connection. It's not just psychological, it's neurochemical. Your brain is wiring itself to associate sexual expression with heightened arousal and emotional safety. The more you speak your truth, the more your body and mind learn that it's safe, and even exhilarating, to be fully present, fully honest, and fully alive. And here's another piece that's just as crucial. Using your voice during sex is an act of sexual sovereignty. It's you declaring, "I'm here. I'm a full participant. My pleasure matters." It's the difference between letting sex happen to you and co-creating an experience with your partner that's uniquely yours. That's why I say speaking during sex isn't just about turning him on, though trust me, it will. It's also about claiming your own power and rewriting the stories you've been told about what it means to be a woman who wants, who feels, who speaks. Because when your voice joins your body in the bedroom, the entire experience becomes bigger, richer, and far more unforgettable. For both of you. And if you've never let yourself fully go there, it might just change your life. Now, I'd love to tell you that all you have to do is memorize a few sexy phrases, and overnight you'll transform into a sultry goddess whispering poetry in his ear. But let's be real. If you've spent years or even decades being mostly silent in bed, you can't just flip a switch one night and start talking dirty like you're in an erotic novel. And you shouldn't feel like you have to. Because the foundation for speaking up during sex isn't built in the bedroom, it's built outside of it. It starts with creating a climate of safety and openness. In the car, over coffee, on a walk in the park. It's those little conversations where you gently bring up the topic, not in a way that feels forced or clinical, but casual and curious. Like saying, "Hey, I've been thinking lately about how much words can turn me on. Do you like when I talk to you during sex?" Or, "I'd love to know what you most like hearing me say in bed." And if the idea of even bringing that up makes your stomach twist, remember, this isn't a performance review. It's a conversation about pleasure, connection, and creating something beautiful together. Often, we assume we know what our partners like, especially after years together. But people evolve. Desires shift. What thrilled him 5 years ago might not be the same today. So ask, listen, and share your own feelings too. Because this is your chance to talk about your boundaries as well. What words feel natural to you? What words make you uncomfortable? Do you love gentle praise or raw, passionate declarations? There's no right or wrong, only what's true for you. And when you open that door, you give him permission to open up too. That conversation alone can be electric, because it's intimate, vulnerable, and honest. And it shows him you're invested in not just sex, but the depth of your connection. So before you speak new words in bed, speak them in the daylight. Let them become part of the language you share. That way, when you finally say them in the dark, they'll feel real, not rehearsed. And trust me, that authenticity is what makes it unforgettable. And if you're thinking, okay, but how do I even start figuring out what feels natural to say? I've got the perfect training ground for you. Text messages. Yep, sexting. But not the cringeworthy, over-the-top stuff you might see online. I'm talking about gentle, playful, grown woman sexting that feels authentic to who you are. Because here's the thing. Sexting is an incredible rehearsal space. It lets you try words on for size. See how they taste in your mouth, or rather, under your fingertips, before you speak them out loud. It's private. It's controlled. And you get a moment to think. Imagine sending him a message during the day that says, "Can't stop thinking about the way you felt against me last night." Or, "Tonight, I want you to touch me exactly how you did the other day." Or even as simple as, "I keep remembering how you taste." Nothing graphic. Nothing you wouldn't feel comfortable owning, but just enough to hint at the fire smoldering beneath the surface. And here's the fascinating part. Not only does sexting build anticipation for later, it helps train your brain. Because when you see your own words written out, when you press send, and when you get his enthusiastic, maybe even slightly stunned response, something clicks. Your brain learns it's safe to express myself. And each little victory builds your confidence for the real thing. Plus, it gives you a chance to explore what kind of language feels right. Do you prefer soft, sensual words? Or do you find yourself wanting to be bolder, more commanding? This is your safe playground to find out. And trust me, it's not just practice for you. He'll be thrilled to know that you're thinking about him during your day. Because for a man, getting a sexy text out of nowhere isn't just an ego boost. It's proof that you desire him, that he's on your mind, that he's still the one who can light you up. And that is pure fuel for connection. Now, before I reveal the 3 phrases that can drive a man absolutely wild in bed, I want you to understand why they're so powerful. Because these aren't magic spells. They're not cheap tricks or gimmicks. They work because they speak directly to 3 of the deepest psychological needs we all share. Needs that run so primal and universal, they're practically woven into our DNA. The first is confirmation. We all want to know that what we're doing matters, that we're not just going through the motions, but truly making an impact. In bed, that translates to wanting evidence that we're bringing real pleasure to the person we love. The second is connection. Sex without connection might scratch a physical itch, but it leaves the soul starving. We crave that sense of being joined not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, even intellectually. And the third is admiration. This is that secret desire to feel special, unique, chosen. To know that in this vast world someone sees us as one of a kind, not just a warm body, but the person who ignites fire in another's veins. When you speak words that hit those 3 needs, confirmation, connection, and admiration, you're not just turning him on. You're pulling him into a deeper, richer experience, and you're giving yourself permission to fully be there, body and soul. So the phrases I'm about to share aren't about manipulation. They're about truth, about letting him know that what's happening between you is real, electric, and unforgettable. So, ready to find out what they are? Let's dive in. The first phrase is, "You feel incredible inside me." Or, if you'd rather keep it a touch less explicit, you could say, "You feel so amazing against me." Now let me explain why this is pure dynamite. First, it's deeply sensory. You're not speaking in vague generalities. You're anchoring your words in physical reality, in the sensation of his body inside or against yours. This kind of specificity does 2 powerful things. 1, it grounds both of you in the present moment. It's no longer just sex, it's this moment you're describing. And 2, it skyrockets his confidence. Because here's the thing, men, even the most confident ones, secretly wonder, is she really into this? Is this working for her? When you say, "You feel incredible inside me," you remove all doubt. You're telling him, yes, what you're doing is driving me wild. Your body is giving me pleasure that's real right now. And there's a hidden bonus. It turns up your own pleasure. When you verbalize physical sensations, your brain heightens the experience. It's like turning the dial up to 11. But let me share one crucial piece of advice. Timing matters. Don't say this phrase too early. If you say it in the first few moments, it might speed things up before you're fully ready. Wait until you're truly feeling that intensity. When you're close to losing yourself, that's the moment to let it out. Because your authenticity is what makes it scorching hot. The second phrase is simpler, but don't underestimate its power. It's "don't stop." 3 little words, but they carry the weight of galaxies. Why? Because when you say "don't stop," you're doing something that many women have never been taught to do. Take ownership of your pleasure. For centuries, women have been conditioned to be passive during sex, to receive, not to direct, to endure rather than to shape the experience. But "don't stop" flips that script. You're letting him know that whatever he's doing, the rhythm, the pressure, the angle, it's hitting the right place, and you want more. It's a phrase full of confidence and sexual self-awareness. It tells him he's on the right track, and it gives you agency over your own satisfaction. And let me tell you, for a man, hearing those words is like a shot of pure adrenaline. It fuels his desire to give you exactly what you need. Now my personal favorite, the third phrase, "You're driving me absolutely crazy," or if you prefer, "You're making me lose my mind." This one is a game changer. Because it's not just about the act, it's about him. Think about the difference between saying, "This feels good," versus, "You're driving me crazy." The first focuses on the physical sensation. Nice, but a bit neutral. The second makes it personal. You're telling him that he, not just the act, not just the touch, is the one unraveling you. That he's the reason you're trembling, moaning, unable to think straight. And let me tell you, that hits a man right in the soul. Because deep down, every man wants to believe he's the one who can bring out your wild, unfiltered side. That he's special. That he's the lover who can take you places no one else can. And when you say, "You're driving me absolutely crazy," you're giving him that gift. You're revealing your vulnerability. The fact that you're letting go of control because of what he's doing to you. And that, my friend, is intoxicating. It's raw, it's real, and it creates a level of connection that's impossible to fake. So remember, it's not just about the words, it's about the message beneath them. That you're fully present, fully feeling, and letting him see exactly how he affects you. And there's nothing sexier than that. Now I want to pause here and say something crucial, because I know what might be running through your mind. Okay, those phrases sound hot, but what if I can't say them without feeling like I'm acting in a bad movie? I hear you. Because here's the truth. It's not about memorizing lines. It's about meaning what you say. Your tone, your breath, the look in your eyes, the way your body moves when you say the words. All of that speaks louder than any script ever could. You could whisper, "You feel incredible inside me," in a trembling, breathless voice with your eyes squeezed shut, and it would be devastatingly sexy. Or you could bark it out like you're reading a shopping list, and it'll fall flat. Authenticity is everything. He can tell instantly if you're reciting something you read in a magazine or if it's flowing straight from your soul. And let me tell you, even if the words aren't perfect, even if you stumble a little or blush halfway through, if it's real, it's powerful. Sometimes the sexiest thing is vulnerability. A shaky voice, a little laugh, a breathless gasp, because that's you. So don't worry about delivering the perfect line like an actress. Worry about speaking the truth of what you're feeling. Because your partner isn't looking for porn dialogue. He's looking for you. Raw, honest, and completely swept away. And that's a sound he'll never forget. But I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you this next part. Because I know how seductive it can be to believe that 3 magical phrases can transform your entire relationship overnight. And while these words can absolutely create more heat, more connection, and more confidence between you, they're not a miracle cure. If you and your partner are struggling with deeper issues, trust, respect, resentment, emotional disconnection, no sexy phrase in the world will fix that on its own. Words spoken in the bedroom can enhance intimacy, but they can't replace the hard work of building a healthy relationship outside of it. So if you're in a situation where you're not feeling safe or where your partner consistently dismisses your needs or boundaries, please know this. It's not your fault. And it's not your job to perform sexual fireworks to compensate for what's missing. You deserve a partner who wants to meet you halfway, who wants to hear your voice, not silence it. These tools I'm sharing with you, they're designed to elevate an already loving, respectful connection. They're for couples who want to go from good to great or from great to unforgettable. So be gentle with yourself. Use these phrases when it feels right in a relationship where love, respect, and mutual care are the bedrock. Because real intimacy doesn't just happen in the bedroom. It's built moment by moment in how you talk, listen, and show up for each other, in and out of the sheets. And there's one more thing we absolutely need to talk about, because it comes up in almost every conversation I have with women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. The fear of comparison. It's that quiet question that sneaks in late at night when you're lying there, staring at the ceiling. Was he more turned on with someone else? Does he think I'm not as adventurous or as tight or as exciting as I used to be? Can I ever compete with younger women? And let me tell you, from one human being to another, that voice in your head is lying to you. Because true sexual connection is not a competition. You are not in a race against younger bodies, smoother skin, or whatever fantasy you think he's holding in his head. What you have now, your experience, your self-awareness, your wisdom, Those things are intoxicating in a way that has nothing to do with youth. A woman in her 40s, 50s, or 60s who knows who she is, who knows what she likes, who is unafraid to claim her pleasure, is one of the most magnetic creatures on this planet. She doesn't second-guess herself every 5 seconds. She's not performing. She's being. And that confidence, that presence, is what makes you unforgettable. Because here's the thing about men, especially men who are mature and emotionally available. They crave authenticity over perfection. They'd rather be with a woman whose body shows the marks of a life well lived, but who looks at them with eyes blazing with real desire, than with someone half her age who's faking her moans. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm too old for this, let me tell you right now, you're not. In fact, this might be the perfect time in your life to reinvent your sexuality completely. Because you've earned the right to demand sex that's not just physically satisfying, but emotionally electric. And the way you get there is by using your voice, your words, your truth. Because there's nothing, and I mean nothing, more sensual than a woman who knows who she is and isn't afraid to speak it. So here's my invitation to you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you've memorized every phrase or feel utterly fearless. Start small. Maybe tonight, let a single word slip out that you'd normally swallow. A quiet, breathless yes, a whispered more, or even just his name said with raw longing. Because each time you give yourself permission to speak, you're rewiring your brain and your relationship for deeper connection and more intense pleasure. And if you feel nervous, remember this. Vulnerability is sexy. Men don't want a perfect performance. They want you, real, honest, turned on, and unafraid to show it. So try one phrase. Just one. See how it feels. Watch how his eyes light up. Feel how your own body responds when your voice joins the moment. Because you deserve sex that isn't just routine, but an experience that leaves both of you gasping, grinning, and craving more. And it all begins with your voice. So go ahead, speak up, because you, exactly as you are right now, are more than enough to drive him wild, and the best is yet to come.